This is FIBA Podcast. Thank you for joining us in our morning daily devotion.
Dearly beloved, love is a powerful emotion. The love of a mother is even more so. But when it is combined with pain, it becomes a formidable force to deal with. Let us look at the pain of a mother and how it propels her to find redemption. Let us consider the Syrophoenician or Canaanite woman, whose story we find in Mark chapter 7, verses 24 to 30, and in Matthew 15, 21 to 28. This nameless woman from Phoenicia in the province of Syria possibly spoke Greek. Whatever her geopolitical status, she was a descendant of the Canaanites who were enemies of Israel from the time they entered the Promised Land. A woman who belonged to people who were regarded unclean and impure by the chosen people of God, one who lived outside the covenant of God. Whatever it was her daughter was suffering, the pain this woman felt was intense. But it was pain that drove her to seek alleviation. Perhaps the child had a psychological condition. Perhaps it was demon possession. Matthew refers to it as an unclean spirit. When the woman heard that Jesus had retreated in the region of Tyre and Sidon, she perhaps decided to try this healer. This was a woman who did not know Israel's God, but she had followed Jesus' reputation close enough to call him Son of David. Perhaps she had heard of how Jesus had healed others and cast demons out of others, and her hopes for her daughter's wholeness grew high. When Jesus came to this region, he was declaring that he was not a traveling doctor who healed everyone who came to him. In fact, Jesus didn't seem to be looking at interacting with people at all. As Jesus sought to hide, the desperately hurting woman sought and found Jesus. But approaching Jesus wasn't that simple. She had several barriers to break. She was an unclean foreigner, a descendant of the enemies of Israel, a woman unaccompanied by a male, attempting to start a conversation with a strange man. In addition to crossing all these taboos, her request for healing for her daughter, considered to be possessed with an unclean spirit, she wasn't someone people were falling over to get to know or invite to dinner. None of these barriers hindered the woman, not even the seemingly rude rejection of the one from whom she sought relief. Jesus' ignoring her, his sharp snub, nothing deters her. She argues with the famous rabbi over a matter that was not up for discussion at that time. The woman's pain at her daughter's condition was perhaps so intense that the pain of being snubbed seemed negligible, and the woman persistently, intelligently pleads her case. Result, her daughter is healed. Pain that had housed itself in her for the length of her daughter's life ended. The woman had perhaps no clue why her daughter was suffering. Her pain was random, but it was pain intense enough to embolden her to break through all barriers and find relief. Jesus commends her barrier-breaking faith and relieves her pain. We have much pain in our world, pain that does not have a one-to-one correlation with sin, pain that often defies cause and effect theories, pain that randomly hits people. Think of parents with autistic children, or those with Down syndrome, for example. With the heritage of the child comes pain that will last forever. Think of pain that comes when a random accident ends the life of a husband, son, or father. Think of pain inflicted by war, pain inflicted by barriers set up by humans, pain that seems to have no end or way out, pain that seems to be built into your life, unspeakable, ununderstandable. Does such pain paralyze us, or does it embolden us? It emboldened the Syrophoenician woman to cross all barriers, argue with God, win commendation, and find pain relief. Persistent long-time pain embitters and leaves us disappointed with God. Sometimes we stop praying. We write God off for his seeming rejection of our plea. The Syrophoenician woman's experience closed her pain. But her story is part of a greater story, which Jesus played out and she was unaware of. Her painful story was a bold declaration of God's inclusive salvation, which brings comfort even today. Her story was the earliest declaration that salvation was for all, Jew first perhaps, but to Gentiles as well. Her story orchestrated by Jesus to redefine cleanliness, about which he had had a discussion with the Pharisees. Jesus rhetorically exposed prejudices and demolished them. Her story of pain was much more than a mother seeking healing for her daughter. Dear listener, if you are struggling with random, persistent, long-term pain, may I urge you not to let it paralyze you. Let it embolden you to storm heaven. Dig deeper into God's word. Question and find answers that are custom-made for your situation that will give you pain relief. May I urge you to pray prayers that are beyond rationality, prayers that break the barriers of assumptions and presumptions, prayers that go beyond what you think is reasonable to pray for, prayers that strive with God till He answers you, prayers that will build your story into God's big story of salvation and redemption. The random pain of an unnamed woman has had wide-ranging impact on the world and how it perceives God. Your pain story is not in vain. Seek relief, seek answers, and the Lord will answer you with healing, with comfort. For a God whose grace is abounds beyond measure, He will surely do it.
Dear listener, we are here to stand with you in your time of need. We want to pray with you and for your prayer request. Do you need someone to talk to? We are here for you. Call us or send a message at +91 636 425 2164 +91 636 425 2164. God bless you.